Hi, is Mary here? Mary, are you in the Zoom meeting yet?
Yes, Mels, I'm here. Sorry,
Unmute yourself.
I thought I had unmuted. Good afternoon, Mels. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to all the wonderful leaders that are also on here with me today. Sabalicious, Mels, Vu Jones, and Pastor Lecterson. Hope I'm saying your name right. It's an honor to be on here with you guys today to kickstart this Zoom meeting with mindset, the power of mindset. Not just mindset, guys, but I want to emphasize on the countdown of the window, the door, whatever you may want to call it, closing on this amazing opportunity that we have before us today. Okay. Guys, I started this opportunity 3 years ago. Okay. Not understanding and knowing everything, but I got in and I learned along the way. Okay. And I definitely want to emphasize that we have a powerful speaker on here today, Wu Jones. I was inspired by the first time I heard her journey and her message of how she started in Daisy. I thought I had did my due diligence, but she did an even deeper diver than I did. Okay, so I was inspired by her as well. So what I want to tell you guys today is get your pen and paper out. Okay, gain the knowledge before the door shuts on this crowdfunding opportunity that we have here before us. Because I call Daisy Indotech my 401k on steroids. Okay? Because any given time that I need some extra cash, I can count on Daisy. Okay? Anytime I'm going on vacation, I need some cash, it is there. Monday morning, they're waiting and ready for me. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you wonderful leaders on the call here today. Again, guys, mindset. Turn on that light switch in your mind, unleash yourself from being trapped in a box, and gain the information, because knowledge is power and you have the power to gain the knowledge. Back over to you guys.
Wow, awesome, Mary. Thank you so much for that powerful message. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. As Leader Mels has also done the welcoming, we are super excited. We are pumped for this evening. As Mary has said, we've got a powerful speaker. When I started, I said, make sure that you have invited everyone, because after an hour, when Vu has spoken, you will regret why you didn't invite your loved one. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me wherever you are to welcome Vu Jones to this platform. And she's going to blow your mind. She's amazing. She's powerful. Just allow me to introduce introduce her to you, and she's going to do a further introduction about herself. Sit down, relax, have a cup of coffee or a glass of water. She's going to take you through how amazing this project is. Vu Jones, good evening and good afternoon on your side. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, Sebe. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I'm having a network challenge, but yeah, we are here. The floor is yours. The people are here. They are ready. They've been waiting and eager to hear what you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Hopefully you guys are seeing my slides right now.
On my, yes.
Yes, you are. Okay, perfect. Hi, guys. My name is Vu Jones. Thank you for having me here, Sebi. Just as a quick introduction to myself, I was fortunate enough in my earlier days to go into finance. I joined the financial services industry around 20 years ago. Started as an analyst, went into becoming a fund manager, progressed into heading one of the divisions in a bank, essentially helping wealthy individuals stay wealthy. But I dabbled in trading on the equity space. I did a whole bunch of different things, advising pension funds, advising individuals on that space. And earlier on in this journey, I got exposed to crypto, Bitcoin. One of my clients asked about it. And at that stage, I bought it, not really thinking about it. It was in 2012. I bought some Bitcoins, completely forgot about it because the price of Bitcoin went down. Later on in 2020, I look up and the price has gone up. And I said, what has happened here? So it got me into a very deep dive into what is this whole thing? How did it move from when I bought it at $15 to over $40,000? What had happened? And so I went into a deep hole and started looking at everything. But in this deep hole that I went into, I came across a wonderful opportunity. And that's what we're going to be discussing here. You'll see that my presentation and the way that I talk about my journey in Daisy is through telling stories, okay? So before I start anything with telling my story, I just want to highlight that, this is for information purposes. Don't construe this as any legal, tax, investment, financial advice. It's solely my personal journey and the way that I look at this opportunity. Obviously, you guys know that getting into crypto opportunities or crowdfunding can be risky. Nothing is guaranteed. So this is no exception. This is obviously for you guys, and I don't officially represent the project, but I am a participant just like you guys are, a contributor. So it makes me very excited with that. And so do your own research, right? So when we talk about research, let me run you through the research that I did when I first heard about the project. I heard about this amazing company called Endotech, which was providing fantastic results. And I thought, wow, when I first heard the results, and I'll get into them in a couple of slides, I thought, this is phenomenal. Is this really, really true? So I always say that when you look at any opportunity, you have to go and say, one, understand what it is that you're buying or you're contributing into, understand the people who are behind the project, understand how they make money, and then figure out if it works for you, right? And that's really the journey that I went. I picked up the phone, I talked to a couple of friends, I looked at what they were doing, I looked at how they're making money in terms of what that product is, and I thought, this is fantastic. So let's go into exactly what this is, because I love simplifying things as much as possible. So, as you guys know, any business, just like a Ford, right? This is how I look at things. Ford is a business that everybody knows, right? However, in order for Ford to create the products that they want, which would be this car, I showed here the Ford Mustang, right? In order for them to get to that product, they have to do a lot of research and development for that product to come to the market, right? So before we see this product, there's a step that we all don't see, right? That step is really where they're doing the research and development. And that research and development requires what? It requires money, right? And same story, I can show you another company, Toyota, right? Toyota's products are what? Cars. As you guys know, we've all grown up in South Africa. I'm South African, so guys, we remember these cars that our grandfathers, uncles, everybody was driving. So I'm just showing you the transition of a Toyota, the van, going from the 1960s up until now, right? In all of this, in order for the product to be there, to get to what it looks like right now, there's been research and development. Now, in that research and development, it requires money as well. So what I quickly understood when I heard about Endotech is that it was also a business, just like the Toyotas and the Honda and the Ford that I've just shown you. And I needed to understand what their product was, right? So Endotech is a company which is what it's called a software as a service business, right? And essentially they have products where it's trading and an artificial intelligence run trading platform. It has performed phenomenally well. But at the time when I first heard about it, it was actually just looking at clients who, at that time, we had to have over $1 million in a portfolio in your trading, and then you would pay upfront fees. I think it was around $125,000. I can't remember upfront, and then once they start trading for you, you'd share that you'd pay performance fees, and the performance fees ranged anywhere between 30% and 50%. And when I first saw it, I said, "Wait, why would people want to pay 30 to 40%?" And then I looked at that results, and I understood why a person would want to pay those results, because the results that they were getting were phenomenal. So if you're getting, over 200%, you're okay to pay 30% in performance fees. So that was the first thing, understanding what that product is. What do they do, right? So in the journey of Endotech, just like you saw the journeys of your Ford or you saw the journeys of Toyota, right? They have a journey as well. They are a fully fledged running company which has a product. And now they wanted to expand that product. They wanted to make it better, right? In order to make it better, they need to do what? Research and development, like you saw in the other slides, right? And for that research and development, it requires money. If you guys actually think about it, in order to create the Toyota Hilux that you're seeing right now, some money was put in before in order for it to be built, to be tested, to ensure that it can brake, that it can speed up, it can handle tough terrains. This is exactly the same thing that Endotech was needed to do as well. They wanted to create the next version of their trading platform. And with that, they therefore needed to train. They needed to make sure that they're testing it. They needed to make sure that they're pushing it to the limit, and they needed to make sure that they've got the right team to be able to do that, right? Now, Endotech, interestingly enough, when it had to, remember that when you have this money, you have to go and get it somewhere, right? Most companies will go and it's either they use their reserves, they get a loan, they get private equity players coming through, people want to go and put in money into the business and then they get shares back. So what they decided to do is that they said they're going to let the people who benefit from this product be the ones who can actually fund the development of this next level of that product. It's called crowdfunding in a very simplified manner. So from the crowdfunding, they were creating version 2. So think of this as their new Ford Mustang or their new Toyota Hilux. They are creating the next version of their AI. And remember, I've already told you that the previous results that they were getting were already phenomenal. I'm going to talk about the results in terms of what I mean when I say phenomenal, to put it into context for you guys in the next couple of slides. All right, so how does this crowdfund go? Because it has to be, so now you guys understand the product, right? Now, how does the crowdfund go? Essentially, anybody who's interested in being part of the development of this product can put money into Endotech via a community and a platform. This community is called the Daisy community. This is part of what I am part of, and what some of the people in this call are part of, right? In that Daisy community, there's a contract that's set up. And the contract, we call it a smart contract, but essentially what it is that it gives you the rights and obligations as a crowdfunder, what you get in return for crowdfunding so that Endotech can get these funds. And essentially there are 3 things that we get. We get equity, rewards, and profits. That's what we're getting if you're contributing here. And I'll delve deeper a little bit into that. So now we've understood the product, we're understanding what we need to do in order for Endotech to have the money to do the research and development. And in response, we understand what we get, right? And essentially what we're getting is the returns and the rewards and equity into that business, right? Now, for you to be excited about the equity, you have to kind of like have a view in terms of where the company is going to go. And I'll delve into that in the next couple of slides. And the way that I like to show what the journey looks like for people, right? I like to tell stories. I make things very, very simple in my head. So first of all, I've understood what the product of Endotech is. I've understood that the company has been existing. What I further wanted to understand was who were the people who were behind this business. And so I did my research. That's what I talk about when I say I went and I did my research, right? And my research was me picking up the phone and actually calling somebody who was in Israel. I said, hey, I'm hearing about this company. Do you guys know anything about it? And luckily, my friend was in finance as well. They moved to Israel over 10, 15 years ago. And they were like, oh, yes, I've heard about Dr. Anna. I've heard about Indtech. So for me, that was a tick, right? And then I started to also say, let me understand how Endotech itself makes money, right? Endotech makes money because remember I mentioned a few minutes ago that they get performance fees, right? So when they're performing well, they get performance fees, and that's how they make money, right? So if you're going to go put money into a business through any form, even if you went directly, you're an investor, or you are even a crowdfunder, you need to understand how that business makes money. And so for me, it was very important for me to understand how they make money, and they were effectively making money from their profits. I said, okay, I've checked, ticked, everything is great. I love this. And I was fortunate enough later on to meet up with the actual people, the team itself. So my due diligence was intense. I was excited, and I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to put in some money. So in talking about the journey, I love showing this journey through an experience that I call her Thandi, right? For people to actually understand what I talk about. So imagine, let's go into Thandi's journey because it helps you understand exactly what it would look like, right? So in the case of Thandi, she found out about Endotech just like I did, and Daisy itself through a friend. I found out from my friend as well. And from finding out from that friend, she understood that she decided that this is something that she wants to get into. And in her understanding that she wants to get into and she wants to support this business because she believes in the product and she's seen how it's performed, she said, okay, what are the things that I need to do? So she understood the product and she joined the Daisy community. The Daisy community is a community of people just like me and you. This community has actually grown over this period. We're over 220,000 strong. The contribution that people have made into this business to just show you the strength that they believe, how much they believe in this. Right now, the assets that they have under management from the crowdfund is over 600 million. So quite strong as well. And Thandi is one of these people. She is not alone. There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are accountants, there are, ex-financiers, there are nurses, there are teachers, there are pensioners, anybody who felt that this opportunity was for them went and they joined, right? So let me just run you through why they joined, and I'm going to go into Thandi's journey itself. So remember, as I go through everything, remember the things that I say that this contributing to this crowdfund provides. It provides you with equity, with profits, and income, right? So let's just go into what that looks like. If you are in this thing, in Daisy, in joining the community, you'll see that, and I love transparency, so that's why I'm showing you this. From a transparency perspective, guys, you can see that as much as Thandi has gone through the journey herself, the total community self, this is the current balance as of last weekend. You can see the sort of rewards that people have received, right? You can see that people have been able to withdraw from there. This is the performance of the fund over time. So the performance of the fund itself is over 1,440% since the Forex AI started trading, since it started being tested and developed, right? Remember that we talked about the fact that when you contribute, money goes towards testing and development, right? What does that mean? Testing and development means that it's gone into increasing the team, increasing the depth of the quality of the team as well. It's gone into increasing the infrastructure in terms of the computers that they need to do in order to be able to pull out all of the things in order to make for this AI to effectively make the decisions that it needed to do. It meant that they had to go and identify partners where the AI could also learn from. It meant that they had to go and create backup servers in different places so that we manage our risk. All of that money, it meant that they also had to have a budget for rewarding people who are helping to almost do what I call, it's almost like pseudo business development, because as you share, you also get rewarded, right? So they had to have a budget for all of that. And essentially what's happened is that people have benefited. Now, also the beauty of it is that you will see that the results have been pretty phenomenal when you look at this return. And I love putting things into context when I talk about the returns of Endotech through this product, which is not out yet, which is still in testing and development. So remember, I said Forex is up around 1,440%, right? As of this past weekend. If you look at that, I love just doing an evaluation of whether that is good or not, right? And so I'm South African, so obviously I look at the world from a South Africa perspective, right? This is a survey that I usually pull out. It's usually a bit lagged. So yesterday, the November numbers just came out. Unfortunately, I only saw it this morning just before I presented to you guys. So I haven't had the opportunity to update it, but I'll just compare it in terms of the end of October numbers. So as a South African, the things that I look at, I say, if I had money, where would I put it? I can decide that I'm going to go and put it into our South African stock exchange, which is all share index, as you see here. Look at what the all share index has done on a 1-year basis up until October, right? The all share index was up 8.34%, right? If you go and say, what has the South African bonds done, the all bond index, it's up 7.91% in a 1-year basis, right? On a 3-year basis, it's 15%, which means 15% annualized. So it's giving you maybe 45 to 50% over a 3-year period, right? If you look at the bonds, giving you around maybe close to 25 to 30% over a 3-year period. On a 1-year basis, only 7%, right? If you went and you invested in South African listed property this past year, you would have lost money. It was down minus 1.75%. Over a 3-year period, 19% per annum, which means that if it's 3 years, it's somewhere around 65, 70%, okay, if you annualize it. So I say, so if those are the returns that I would have gotten into the traditional market, right? If this AI that is still in testing that I am part of and I'm benefiting from the returns which are coming through from there, if it is up 1,440%, is that phenomenal or is that bad? And obviously, you guys, I'm sure you'll all say it's pretty phenomenal. So for me, I was very, very happy. And I think Thandi as well is very, very happy that she went in there because she's definitely beat most of the traditional things. And I will tell you this, right? As a person who's been in finance, those returns are phenomenal because typically we expect around 10% from the market. That's one. And even if I went into, more private equity, going into direct companies where you put money, you get shares back. Typically, your private equity funds have been giving you around 20% per annum is a good return. Daisy, through Endotech via Daisy, the contributors have actually gotten over 800%. It's around 798% annualized over the period of around 19 months. So quite phenomenal, quite phenomenal. And so it's always good to look at these things and say, let's put it into context. Because if you don't put things into context, you could say, hey, it's not really that good. It is quite phenomenal. Also, over and above that, what I do like to say is I love also not just looking at it from just overall fund perspective, but understanding what the benefit is. So what I do here is I go and I look at this young lady's journey, Thandi. So Thandi, her journey, she started off and she contributed around $1,900 into the Daisy community, Daisy smart contract through the Daisy community for Endotech. With that money, remember that I said that part of it, not all of it goes and gets traded. Part of it goes towards developing the team and part of it gets developed. So you'll see how that money was split. Only 50% of the first $100 went into being traded. 50% of the next 200 went into being traded. 70% of the next 400, and then 70% of the next 800. So all in all, what went into trading for her was around 1,270, right? That went into trading. So what are the immediate benefits that Thandi was getting? She was getting the profits. Remember, it's those three things: profits, equity, and income. She got 9 shares from this, and we'll talk about what those shares look like. She's going to get profits because remember, I've just talked about how the performance of the AI has been. And here I kind of show you what the profit has been for her. And Thandi decided that she's not going to take out any money throughout this journey. So for the past months up until, I think I've updated it up until November here, but up until that time, she was not withdrawing, right? Remember where she started. She started with 1,900. I see somebody is putting stuff here, but I'm just gonna not look at it for now. But anyways, she contributed 1,900, which is around 30,000 Rand for us South Africans. Okay. Now, this is no guarantee. There's no guarantee that the past performance that she got is going to be the same going forward, because nothing is guaranteed. Nobody has got a crystal ball to determine how the markets are going to perform or how the AI is going to perform. The AI performs based on what's happening in the market, right? So she decided that she's not going to take out anything. So over this period, the average return has been around 2.68% since she started per week, right? So let's just look at what that would look like from the time that she started. So she started 15th of September 2022. Just forgive me when you keep on seeing me being distracted. I'm admitting people into the call as well. So bear with me. I'm trying to multitask, right? So she decided that she's not going to take anything. She understood that the performance is not guaranteed because there's no guarantees, right? But she's really, really impressed by the performance that she's seen. And she's just looking at the past performance and she's saying it's an indication that this product has got quality, just the same way that you guys will look at past cars of a Toyota or whatever car that you like, and you say, based on how it's performed and in the last version of it, I want to buy the next version. So in this case as well, we've looked at what it's done, and now she's looking at it. So she looked at it and she said, if I just look at how, this AI has performed, and let me just assume that it continues to grow in the same way that it is, let me just see what that would look like, right? So what she's realized is that if she left that money there for 3 years, and if going forward, the AI would actually perform at 2.68% per week, right? Which takes you back to those returns that I was talking about before. In 3 years, her $1,900 that she contributed, right? 1,200 of that went into trading and the rest gave her shares. She sees that that could potentially grow to around 29,820 if it stays that. Now, in rands, I always like to put things into rands, and I've been quite conservative. I've used $1 to 18 rands, which is slightly stronger than what we have right now. So that in rands would be, she's moving from 30,000 Rand that she contributed to now 536,000 Rands, which is amazing. In 3 years' time, you guys tell me where you'd find that. If she left it for a further 2 years, right, that's 30,000 of hers that she contributed, Rand, or $1,900, that could potentially grow to $287,000. Now, I always say this is not guaranteed. This is us doing a projection, right? Looking at based on how it's performed in the past. So you're just seeing what sort of phenomenal numbers that this gives if you are patient. And this is the journey that she's going through. So she's decided that she's going to just leave it like that. And so she also knows that there is a potential that it could be more than what we're seeing here. Remember here, I'm just showing you the numbers if it's 2.8668%, but because we don't know what it could be, let's just look at what this looks like if the performance went up to 3.18%. At 3.18%, the money per week, right? The money that she actually contributed, her 30,000 Rand, which is equivalent to $1,900, could grow to $56,000. Okay. In rands, you guys can see what that number is. Now, in 5 years' time, it could grow to even further by just leaving it an extra 2 years to 839. And you'll say, how is this possible? Guys, it's by virtue of something very powerful called compounding, right? If you let your money, if you let the interest grow, interest on interest on interest on interest, it grows much faster. And so really for her, this has been the strongest thing. And I'll go and show you the actual returns of this AI on a week-by-week basis as we go on in the slides. So for Thandi, it was like, okay, no brainer, I'm leaving it and I'm excited. So remember I said that it's from a performance perspective. So the performance story in terms of the trade-in rewards are exciting. That's the first part. So now let's go into the actual shares. Remember I said that Thandi has 9 shares. I'm not sure how to delete this, guys. So forgive me, I'm not as tech savvy when it comes to deleting things. So I'm just going to pretend like it's not there. Let's just all pretend it's not there, okay? So let's go into the equity. I like looking at creating projections, looking at what the potential could be. So because you like the product, I learned very early on in my life. I remember I started working for a fund management company, and I was complaining to my boss. I was telling my boss, I said, you know, so much of my money is going to Discovery, to pension, to our healthcare. I said, this is just, it's so expensive. And he was like, why are you complaining? I said, what do you mean, why am I complaining? He said, anything that you use, always make sure that you own it. So don't just be a consumer or a user of the product. Make sure that you get something back in return. I said, what are you talking about? He said, it's quite obvious. Buy the shares and stop complaining, right? And I was like, so I learned very, very early on in my career that if I'm spending money on something, I want to own a piece of it, especially if it looks attractive. So with this as well, as you're contributing, right, you're getting profits, you're getting rewards, trading profits as the AI does well. But you also want to be able to get some equity. And his whole rationale, my boss, was that if you're going to get equities, at least you know that even if you've paid for medical aid, you know that you're going to be getting shares. And if more people are using it and the company is doing very well, your shares will grow. And further over and above that, you'll be getting what's called dividends. Essentially, you get a portion of the profits that the company has made. So it's very, very important for you to want to get equity in anything, right? So with this opportunity as well, Thandi was excited because she's also now getting equity into Endotech. Now let's quantify what this equity could be. Remember where Thandi started. She contributed what? $1,900, which is equivalent to around 30,000 Rand. Okay. Now, this is a sheet that I like showing. This is disturbing me. I wish I could remove this thing. But anyways, I'm going to go into the scenarios. So what did we do here? Here is just a projection of what the potential of those shares that Thandi has could be, right? The value of those shares is dependent on what the value of the business will be when it goes and it lists. That's in part of the plan that it has. So first it said, hey, let's get money to develop our product and make it better. Once we have this product and we've made it better, it means that we'll also be attracting more clients. When we attract more clients, we make more money. When we make more money, we look attractive to the market, and the market wants to own our shares. So because right now we're still a private company, in order for us to be attractive to the rest of the market, we'll have to go and be open to the market to be able to buy us, which means that we have to go and list. And listing basically simply means that they'll go on and put themselves on an exchange. We don't know which exchange it could be. So same way that I gave you guys an example of the performance of the L-share index, you know, they might go to the London Stock Exchange. They might go to, we don't know which stock exchange they're going to go to, New York Stock Exchange, JSE, I doubt it. But anyways, you know, we have to still try and pump up our own South African market. But essentially, there's going to be a point where they list. And when they list, those shares will have a value. Now, in order for us to determine what the value of those shares is, it depends on the valuation of that company, of Indotech itself. So here is just an analysis of what the shares will be worth if Indotech is worth 1 billion, if Indotech is worth 5 billion, if Indotech is worth 10 billion, 15 billion, 20 billion. I believe this is my own assumption based on my own research and the assumptions that I've put into my own model of what I believe it will be. I believe that it is possible for Indotech to get to a $10 billion valuation. I'm not going to get into the details of it because that's a long discussion that I always have with people. But I say that I believe that it can get to a 10 billion valuation. What is that driven by? It's driven by me watching, understanding what that product is, understanding how they make money, looking at how much they've got under crowdfunding and saying, if that crowdfunding grows at the levels that it is, what does it mean in terms of the revenue that they're making, right? If I understand what sort of revenue they can make and I can make assumptions of forward revenue that they can make, then I can come up with a sort of projection of what the valuation would be. And that's how I believe that they can get to the 10 billion. I'm not going to go into the model that I've actually made myself. So if I believe that it will be 10 billion, and I know that every single person who contributed into this project from January the 4th, 2021 until June 2023, everybody who contributed there essentially got a portion of the 5% of the business, right? The number of shares which were distributed in that 5% initially, because of the contributions, remember with Tandy, as she contributed $100 back in those days, she was getting one share. If she was contributing $200, she was getting 2 shares. If she contributed another $400, she was getting 4 shares. So remember, that's when I got to that 9 number that we were talking about, based on when she went in. So if the valuation is 161, then it means that Tandy would have 161 multiplied by $9. Okay, I mean multiplied by 9 shares, right? And I'm just going to show you here what that would look like. I've got this little sheet that I use. Bear with me. I'm like a spreadsheet person, so I love working with spreadsheets. So if Tandy went and she got 9 shares, let's just look at what her shares would be. Her shares at 10 billion valuation is essentially 1,454, right? 1,454 is almost the amount of money that she put. So remember that she's already getting the trading rewards. And then now her shares are worth something as well. She knows that in the future, these shares are going to be listed and then she'll be able to realize this value based on whatever the valuation of the business will be. So that is exciting. That's number 2 that we've talked about, right? And I'm going to talk about one of the other things which I think is very, very exciting right now. And now I'm talking a little bit into the future. The thing that's happening right now, guys, is we've gone through this journey. And I want to show you the journey because it's really about, it's a return story, right? The company has benefited. The team has grown from around a team of 13 people, this is Indotech, to now having over 70 quant scientists, portfolio managers, you name it. The team has actually grown and has become a much bigger team. they're producing a much superior product than what they had before. Before they were just dealing with crypto. Now they've got a crypto model, which we're not talking about right now. And then they've got the Forex, which is the flagship, which is where most of our money is. In fact, all of our money, anybody who's crowdfunding, the money is in this. This is the 2.0. This is the new Mustang. This is the new Ford. This is the new BMW, whichever car you like. This is their new version, okay? How has this thing been performing since it started? And this is just a week by week so that you guys can understand that the numbers that I'm showing were not just coming out of nowhere, right? This is the performance of this new AI, which was in testing and development since the start. If you guys look here on this, just look at this column. It shows you the returns on a week by week basis from the start. So you can see that these returns, you know, they've been as high as 11.43%. And sometimes, you know, they go to 7%, sometimes they go to 3%, sometimes they go to, you know, 1%, you know, it goes around, but on average, that's where you were seeing that 2.6%. So if you went and you averaged all of these returns over that period, you'll see that you get those returns that we were putting into Tandi's projection. Now, what has been phenomenal here is, guys, over this entire period of 19 months, this AI has not given a week of negative returns. And that's very, very important, right? It's very, very important because it's harder to recover from losses than to actually, and then continuing to grow slowly every single week. And essentially, this is what the AI has done. It's shown it can do what, you know, we all hoped that it would be able to do, that the next product will be better. So right now, if we put in money, we know that we potentially could get these results into the future as well. It's not guaranteed, but the AI has certainly, during this testing and development phase, shown it's mental. Now, this is important because it drives into the performance of the shares. Now, I want to just highlight something which I think is quite phenomenal. When February comes right now, end of February 21st, we will not be able to put in any more money into this crowdfund. At the end of February, they're saying, hey, we have enough money. We've grown, we've been able to test. We're now going to get this product ready for the market. Just like a Ford would say, hey, we've been testing this car. It's now ready to go to the dealerships, right? We're looking at that. Simpiwe, please don't put the stuff on the screens if it's possible. I'm not sure how to remove that. Thank you. Simpiwe, yeah, thank you. Okay, so why is it important when I go into this, guys? Because after June, from the 1st of July of 2023, they've been issuing out new shares, right? The first 5%, which was issued out to the community, the one which I was saying was valued at $161, it's already been given. So now anybody who contributes is getting the second pool, the second 5%. And that second 5% is here, okay? That second 5%, because of the number of shares that have been given there, the number of shares which are here are around 1.6 million shares, whereas this one, it's around 3.1 million shares which have been distributed. Why? Simply because this first 5% was distributed between January 2021 and June 2023. These new shares were a new allocation that the founders of this community actually came and gave to the community and said, you know, the shares, there's no more of the old shares, but we'll give 5% again. And as people contribute, you can get these new shares. Now, these new shares are quite exciting. And so a lot of people have been contributing more in order to get more of these shares. Why is that? It's simply because of the value of these new shares. You look at it, because there's less shares, the 5% is being shared by less people. You'll see that the value of the share itself is much higher. It's around 2.5% more than the other shares, right? So if you're contributing right now, the value of your shares is more. So let's look at a Tandi's situation. And I'm going to go back to her. If Tandi decided that she is going to go and she's going to add more money, right, into the crowd fund right now before the 21st of February, because after the 21st of February, nobody gets any shares. Let's just look at what that would look like. And I'm just showing you here. If she went and she contributed a tier 5 momentum, so she contributed $1,600, right? So that's a tier 5 here. What she'd be getting is she'd get 25 shares. Remember that she currently has 9 shares in the old structure, right? So now she puts in $1,600. She gets 25 shares. Those 25 shares are now going to be worth $8,296. Obviously, this number is not guaranteed. As more shares are distributed, it'll come down. But we literally have, right now, we've got around 5 weeks before these shares stop being distributed. So even if they get diluted, I think the value is still going to be very, very good. So what I mean by that, this is the number of shares which has been distributed so far. So let's just say that this amount now, let's just say somehow it goes to 2 million. Okay, it's still 6,250 worth of shares that she gets assuming a $10 billion valuation. So that's why people are putting in more money right now, right? That's why people are putting money into momentum packs. That's why people are doing that, because they've actually understood the value of these. So think about it. She's contributing 1,600. The value, that 1,600, 1,360 is going to continue to be traded. And you guys have already seen what the trading has been doing, right? But then she gets shares. She gets 25 shares for that. Those 25 shares at a valuation of 10 billion are worth 6,250. Let's do the maths in South African rands, guys, right? That's phenomenal. If you multiply it by 18, I'm not even going to do that, right? Now, if you are a person who's new, the story is always, okay, is it too late for me to go in, right? I say it's never too late to go in when you've got something which is good. That's my view. It's never too late to go in when you've got something that's good. So as much as you guys don't have the past performance that we've seen, the AI has displayed skill that can give you some sort of, it's okay for you to assume that it potentially could do it. There's no guarantee, but there's a pretty high chance that it will be able to provide good returns going forward, based on what it's been doing in testing and development. So if a new person came in and, for instance, they decided that they're going for a tier 5, which is my sweet spot. That's what I like. Tier 5, because you're really maximizing the number of shares that you can get there. That new person would essentially be getting 40 shares, right? The 40 shares, so the person would have contributed $3,100. That $3,100 essentially gives them around $10,000 worth of shares, even if you've been diluted here. Right now, when you look at that valuation and you're looking at the current number, if there are no more shares which are going to be given, which I doubt will happen, it will be 13,000. So you're putting in 3,000 and your shares are worth 13,000. That's why people are going and putting in money right now. And the reality is that and the reason why they're doing it is really simply just for those shares. Now, there's other sets of shares which are called the Pacesetter Gold shares and the Pacesetter Leader shares. That's for a different class of a contributor. And I'll talk about it a little bit later towards the end here. But this has been the exciting part for most of the people. So I urge people, if you feel that this is something which is exciting, I've certainly found it very exciting and it's been very rewarding for me. Think around the fact that you are getting, not only is your money working for you and it's giving you very competitive growth versus what you'd be getting anywhere else. But number two, you're getting shares which are actually quite attractive depending on the valuation. And I say that even if the valuation does not hit 10 billion, it's still pretty fantastic for me. I think of it. So even if it's at 5 billion, right? Then you just say that this amount will be 4,000 instead. You say this amount would be 6,500 instead. It's still way more than what you put in. So even if the valuation doesn't come there. Now, why do I highlight this whole issue is because, you know, that is the big kicker. It's equity and the trading. The income side, you can decide that you want to you get income from the community, but it's like any other opportunity, right? If you put in the work, then you get paid. And essentially there is a what they call rewards, which people get, income that people get from introducing the opportunity to other people. And the way I look at it is, you know, back in the days when I was in finance, there was a time when I was in business development. When I was in business development, essentially it's getting new money for the company. And when I was in business development, I'd have a budget. My budget would be, hey, you have to bring in 2 billion rands into the company for the year. And if you bring in the 2 billion, you're getting your salary plus you'll get your bonus. Your bonus was based on what you've brought in, right? So it's the same issue here. It's crowdfunding. And what they're saying is that the people who are helping to grow this community, they will give them rewards. So there's a plethora of rewards which are there. And the rewards include people who are building, there's builder shares, there are Pacesetter Gold rewards. I mean, you even get rewards, guys. You get income for attending a meeting, going to the annual meetings. And I haven't seen that anywhere else before. I was actually thinking about it. I started putting in money into businesses when I was 20. I started at 22, right? After I had that discussion with my boss, I was like, I started buying shares and I started buying directly, putting money directly into companies, right? In all of those companies, whenever I went for an annual general meeting, I was never, ever, ever paid for going to any of the meetings. With this community, with this project, you actually get paid to go to the annual meetings. And the annual meetings benefit you. You get the opportunity to be able to talk to the founders. You get to be able to talk to the CEO of the company and hear from them. You get to talk to, the lawyer. You get to talk. You get to hear from so many people in this community, and it's worth it for you guys to go and see that. I say that if you're going to put your money into anything, you actually want to go and understand what's the vision of the people. What are they planning for the year, right? Not only that, you also meet other like-minded people who are in this project who can excite you and get you excited. Also, there's a lot of change which is happening in the product. So just imagine what the change that happens from when you are in research and development, and then when you move and you're actually getting ready and the product's about to be launched. You want to be there. You want to be hearing what's happening. So right now, all roads are going to Dubai in February. I've been to every single meeting that happens where the founders or Endotech is presenting to us, the main annual ones. I haven't yet made it to the regional, all of them. I made it to, obviously, South Africa. I didn't make Japan. I didn't get my visa in time. But I was planning, I bought my ticket, but I didn't get my visa. I got my visa the day after the Japanese event happened. So I try and be there all the time because I really believe that I need to follow where my money is. I need to be in touch with what's happening. I need to know what are the projects. So I would urge you guys to go there. And you get paid for it. I have never seen that before. So that's part of the income that you can make as well from the project. So it has so many benefits. I think it's phenomenal. And then lastly, just to wrap up everything, is that, you know, I've talked about this journey in terms of my own experience, right? Why I went into it. And then I went on and I showed you guys the journey that a Tandy would go into. And I just want to go back into that journey of Tandi's, just to kind of summarize where her journey is looking like right now, right? So she started with the 1900. Over this period, she had balance right now has grown to 4,411, right? That's one. She can withdraw that profit anytime that she wants to over any weekend. Remember, the AI is trading from a Monday to Friday, but between Friday and Sunday, she's able to withdraw the profits. Come February, when the crowdfund ends, she can take out the profit and the initial contribution. But, you know, my question is, why would you want to take out all of the money? Because then how will you get interest if you've taken out all the money? So you don't want to kill the hen that's laying the egg. You don't want to kill the tree that's giving you the peaches, right? Because that's where the interest is coming from. But you are able to come February, right? So your money is not locked in. You decide what you want to do. But however, you have to be mindful that if you take out everything, then you're not getting that income, right? That's one. Number two, we know that her shares are definitely going to be worth something amazing when the listing eventually happens, based on the assumption that you have. Other people have got an assumption that the valuation could be at 5 billion. Other people are saying 10. Other people are saying 15. It depends on who you talk to and the assumptions that they've put in. I've told you what my assumption is 10 billion, but you guys can come up with your own. So in Tandi's case, since Tandi and I are close, you know, we're connected, Tandi's valuation is with me at the 10 billion. So her shares would be worth 1,400. And then the income, Tandi really hasn't done much. She hasn't shared this opportunity with anybody. But overall, she's made around $68 just from not even sharing it. She just benefited from some other income. So all in all, Tandi, the amount of money that she's made over the period is in excess. Right now, the value that she's getting is way in excess of what she's gotten. She's gotten, you know, if you add the closing balance right now, you add the shares that she's got, she's at a much higher value. So at close to 5,000. And this is only since November last year, 2020, not 2022, but 2023. So imagine where it is right now. I do want to highlight that the journey for you is really what you make it, right? There are some people who made phenomenal amount of money from the profit itself, but you have to be working for it yourself, right? And if you work for it, you're able to make more for you. And when I tell you about the income that people have made, it's life-changing. It really is. When I looked at the numbers for myself and my ability to continue to earn on those numbers that I've made in terms of the people that I've invited, this is very, very different. As I mentioned that I was in finance, and when I used to do that, when I did business development at one stage, apart from doing the investments, we had a portion where we had to do business development. And in that business development, it was a different target. The next year, you're starting from scratch again. Next year, you're starting from scratch. In this opportunity, you don't start from scratch. As the amounts grow, we also continue to grow from that amount. We also continue to make more money from that amount as the amount grows, because you get a portion of Endotech's performance fees. That's the other thing which I haven't even mentioned. So there's so much to say about the opportunity. It's worth just grabbing by the horns if you're seeing it. I always say that you don't want to be that person where you heard about an opportunity and you say, oh, I didn't do anything. You know, an aunt of mine shared that way back in the days when Apple was still young, somebody came to her and said, hey, you know, there's an opportunity to put in $400 into Apple. And was it 400? Yeah, $400. And she said, no, man, these guys are not serious. They even calling that company an Apple. I mean, are these guys serious? It's not a professional. Guess what? She didn't go and do the research in terms of what is it that they're saying they're doing? What's their vision? All of those things. And now she kicks herself all the time because she's like, I knew when I had an opportunity and I didn't go and buy those shares. So get in, put in, the beauty of this is that, there are people who've come in at $100, there are people who've come in at $100,000, there are people who've come in at $1 million. Everybody wins here. Everybody is able to get in, which is what the beauty of this is. So figure out where you fit in. And if it's something that you want to explore and go for the ride, go ahead and join. So that's really my story in terms of the Daisy journey. I've told you a little bit about myself. I've told you a little bit about the project and why I find it exciting by virtue of sharing the story of Thandi. And, make your own Thandi story. And that's it from my side. Sebi, I'll take it back to you.